Alright, I ended up selling that old blue truck I had, and I bought this one, 93 W250. Retired hotshot truck. Got about 350,000 miles on it. But anyway, I'm currently redoing the trailer wiring, and I would say I'm doing it right, but I'm sure somebody would have something else to say about it. But of course, I'm sure you've probably all seen these T-connector guys, and this is all the old trailer wiring that I've cut out and thrown on the floor. You know, these guys are probably alright if you're just pulling a little trailer that's just got the two tail lights on it, maybe a couple, 3, 4, 5 marker lights. But then when you take that plug, that 4-pin plug, and you splice on, let's see, where's, aha. You take that 4-pin and you turn it into a 7-pin round, then hook like a 40-foot gooseneck trailer behind it. That does some bad stuff. Let me find it here quick. Okay, here it is. This is one of those connectors that I tore apart, and you can see that the contacts in it are just toasted. And that's just way too much draw to be trying to pull through the factory harness, especially with one of these pin connectors. And they actually had 2 of these stacked together on each side. One ended up going to the 7-pin, one for a 4-pin, and this taillight had wires with these stupid things running over to that taillight, and it was one big mess. I cut it all out, fixed it. I ended up pulling these apart and recycling some of the good pins out of these, and I put it into the factory plug on each side to fix it, I guess, for lack of a better term. But anyway, then I made a stainless steel bracket to hold the hitch plug. But enough of that. Anyway, so here's my new trailer harness. This is going to be a harness that's going to run from the hood all the way back, and it's going to be specifically dedicated for the trailer plug. And I'm running 7 wires here for the 7-pin plug. The black, blue, red are 10 gauges, and then the yellow, green, brown, and white are 14 gauges. The black one is a ground that'll go to the battery. The blue one is your trailer brake wire. The red one is a constant hot, and then these are just your standard trailer lighting wires. The brown is the running. The green is right tail light, yellow is left tail light. Now normally white would be ground, but since I'm running this big black wire, the white will actually be reverse lights. Generally trailers don't have those, but I'm wiring it for it anyway. And I'm starting with just a regular spool of this ribbon bonded cable, because it's actually cheaper to buy this 100-foot roll of bonded wire than it is to buy 4 individual rolls. It's about, depending where you go, I guess where I was, it was $12 per 100-foot roll, or $39 for the 100-foot roll of all 4. So, and I went to an auto parts store. They wanted $1.45 a foot, or $145 for that roll that I got for $39 at a different store. But anyway, so we all got what's going on here. That's actually gonna be the end that's gonna go under the hood. I'm gonna get it all in the split loom tubing here, and I'm just gonna start snaking it up from the back, and then whatever length I needed at the plug, I'll just cut it off. Now, for under the hood, this is the same thing I did on that old red and white truck that I frame offed a couple years ago. This here is a power distribution center from a mid-90s or first generation Dodge Neon. And I've kind of moved some terminals around, moved some fuses around, and I've labeled what every one of these wires is going to do. So that harness I'm putting together is going to come up in here, and it's going to hook to this fuse box, which will be directly connected to the battery positive. And these relays in here are, all the wiring of the truck is going to do is trigger these relays. So like this one is the reverse lights, this one is going to be the left turn, and then this is the right turn, and then I believe this was going to be running, and this was just an auxiliary one that I put in there to have. And then like this 40 amp right here, this will be that constant hot, or no, this 30 amp is going to be the constant hot. The 40 amp is going to be the circuit with the brake controller on it. And yeah, like I say, I moved some of the stuff around in there. I won't get into the details of what I moved where, because we'll be here forever. And if you can't figure it out yourself, you probably shouldn't be doing it, I guess. Now, I made these steel brackets here. I guess the paint's still a little tacky, so I'll leave them. So I'll get into that later, but those brackets hook on the side of here, and I drilled 2 holes in the fender well, so once I put those brackets on, this fuse box is going to sit right in there, just like that. And by doing it this way, there is no way having any short in your trailer wiring is going to burn out your headlight switch, your blinker switch. You know, it's all going to be isolated through there. It's not going to burn up your factory taillight harness either. But this one, somebody already pulled the headlight switch off and had a regular toggle switch in it. Well, that took a crap the other day, so I just threw a light switch in there for the time being to get by. But anyway, enough chat, more work. Catch you in a bit. Alright, I kind of got the fuse box laying in here, and I got that harness snaked up through the frame, and I'm starting to hook things up, and there's a harness right here. It's separate from all the rest. That goes right through that rubber boot right there, and it goes to a plug under the dash. That is the rear taillights. So I'm going to splice that inside the cab where, you know, they're more protected. I don't really want to try splicing them out here. So I got a hole drilled through the firewall. There was a hole down here, that's why I put it down. There it is right there. That's why I ended up drilling it down there. I just drilled it out a little bit. Now that's where the wires to trigger these relays are going to run through the firewall, and then I'll splice it in under the dash. And for this, I'm just going to use, you know, a light gauge, like an 18 gauge wire, because it doesn't take much any power to trip a relay. But now we all know that you don't want to just run the wires through that hole. Well, the proper thing to do, I guess, would be to run it through some kind of grommet. Well, had to dig back a little bit, but this is what I'm going to use for my grommet. If you don't recognize this, this is a milker inflation. And I'm going to cut it right here. And this here is basically a grommet right there. So by cutting it off right there, I'll get a grommet that's kind of extended out. So then when it comes out of the firewall and the wires come through, it'll really help keep the water out of the cab. And I think that's all for now. Alright, I got all my connections made under here using these blue butt connectors. These are not the regular ones. These are a heat shrink adhesive lined one. So when you heat it, it actually glues to the wire and it seals it so it won't corrode. Also, here is that black ground wire that comes up. And this was a regular non-sealed ring terminal. Here's the yellow plastic doohickey. I took that off, and I actually put some of that adhesive lined heat shrink on there again, so it seals up and it seals right over the wire to keep the moisture from getting inside the wire and corroding it. Alright, project complete. Here's the hitch plug, stainless bracket. It's actually a piece of an old door kick plate, but it'll work. Then I ran the wire loom right into the plug and tightened the screw down, and then I just snaked it in the frame rail right along with the factory light harness up around the fuel tank and kind of zip tied it on. And then it comes up under the hood right here. There's factory harness kind of, let's see if I can get it. Yeah, that there's factory harness, and then mine comes up a little ahead of it. And let me get a bucket over here. And then it comes to the fuse box. I got my brackets bolted down and just slips on right there and there. All the goodies. I got to figure out some way to relabel this. But then here's the loom. This is just a ground for the relays. Comes up here and it draws off this wire right there. This is a heavy gauge wire, which I actually I carefully opened up the factory terminal there and slid this wire in and re-crimped it. And there's this neat little plastic cover here that slides over and covers up those terminals. So then, right here, I got my line that runs in through the firewall. And this is the one and only time I will ever use the blue tap connectors. This right here is the plug that handles this harness here goes to the back of the truck. This is your tail light wiring and the fuel sender wiring and for that rear ABS thingamajigger. But anyway, I just tapped it on the center wires of this plug. The purple and black is your reverse, and there's two other ones. I guess you can't really pick them up with the camera, but then the yellow and black, or black with a yellow stripe, is your running lights, and green, I think it's got a red stripe on it. It's hard to see, but green would be then your left tail light, and what other color is left here? I don't know, is this gray or something? Well, you get the picture. But the only time I would ever use one of these tap blocks is a situation where it's a real low amp draw and it's out of the weather, so the moisture don't get in there. But there you go. Wiring a trailer plug right.